I always have to take some time to stop and measure where I am in life, to see if I need to look at myself and to see if I need to change anything or see if I need to adapt. Because here I am now at just over 30 years old, and for about 10 of those years, I've carved out this little niche corner for me on the internet to talk to people about the stuff that I like to talk about, which happens to be cinema, art, and the like. And this space is now the House of Tabula, and it's done all right. And yet doing this for 10 years, if I'm completely honest, quite often has this doubt emerged when I question what it is that I do. I've often wondered what the purpose is of what I'm doing. Is there any purpose? Am I even doing anything of value? I'm making stuff to teach people about cinema, and yet I feel that it's constantly tied to this world of mindless content, and most people aren't even going to watch it or pay attention to it anyway, so what does it matter? What's the point? What if me not making anything would make no difference at all? And there's loads of reasons why this doubt persists. Sometimes you feel like an imposter, that you're not as good at something that you feel that you should be. Or you just left certain ideas or approaches or things you wanted to do to the wayside for one reason or another, and you feel like you should be doing more or that you should be doing better. And that combination of doubt and regret, it's strong, and it rises, and then it makes you think, well, what if my stuff doesn't even matter? So I think about that, and then I think a little bit beyond it, and then I remember I'm not the only person that thinks this. I'm not the only person that feels like this. I remember that this process isn't exclusive to me. So with that in mind, I would then put forth those feelings and those ideas to you, the individual person listening to this. Because for this little time being, I just want this to feel as though I'm speaking to you, the individual person that can hear this, and you are listening to me, the individual Lewis, the person that's saying this, not just a disembodied voice on the internet. We're both people, and we probably share a lot in common with one another. So, how are you? Because I imagine statistically, you've probably also felt all of these things as well. Are you living the life that you truly want? When you wake up in the morning, do you make decisions that you truly want to make? Is your time made up of that which would move you forward to the person that you would love to be, to the person that you want to be? Are you doing the things that you really, deep down, want to do? Are you happy? I wanted to speak about this because if you know me personally or you've heard me speak in any kind of regard, you'll know that I pride myself on being honest. It's something that's very important to me. And so I approach a lot of things without concealing anything away. I try not to speak and only give a fraction of myself or speak without being completely transparent. I struggle to operate like that. And I think that if you're using a public forum to speak, I don't see the point of not exposing everything that you think and feel. So I will be open with how I would think about certain things. I used to think that there were certain barometers of success that I needed to fulfill in order to verify a decision I made as the correct decision. Whether this meant that I made something and then that had to earn a certain amount of money to be classed as successful, or that I should be aiming in my life to obtain a certain degree of influence. I really used to think like this. These were the goals of life. This is what ultimately was the important. That was the destination I was trying to reach. And this is really, I used to think like this. And even if it was just a fraction of my thought, the thought was still there. And very often, those barometers of success weren't met. Whether this meant that something I made wasn't the most commercially viable thing, and so I made less money from it. But this thought process being in my mind, it bothered me. And as a result, it meant that the art that I really wanted to make, the stuff I really wanted to do in my life, it would always come secondary. And I'd be trapped in a position where I couldn't make the things that I was truly passionate about because most of my decision making was coming from a perspective that hinders you because you're not free to do what you want. There's always something holding you back or dictating the way that you do something, or is just this distraction in your mind that can't give you a clear view as to where it is you're going or why you're doing the things that you want to be doing. I don't remember if I've mentioned this before. I probably have, but I'll say it again. The reason that this platform originally was called Channel Criswell was because of Ed Wood and Plan 9 from Outer Space. So Plan 9 opens with this psychic man, and his name is Criswell, and it opens with Criswell predicts, and he just starts spouting a load of shit, and it's very goofy. But I like the name Criswell, and I wanted to use it. One of the reasons was because also an anagram of my first name exists within it, so that worked. But the main reason that I used it was because of Ed Wood himself, and the channel Criswell was a play because it was a YouTube channel, but I also wanted to channel that because Ed Wood is regarded as the worst director of all time, and Plan 9 from Outer Space is often seen as the worst film ever made. And it's not really. It's terrible, but there's a charm to it. And the reason that there's a charm to it is because Ed Wood was given scripts and projects to direct, and yet there was a style and a voice that came out of them that was uniquely his, and he didn't accommodate that for anyone. And yeah, that voice may have been clunky and awkward, but even now, we're still speaking about Ed Wood. And I always resonated with that idea that here was a guy that had an output and made what he wanted. And that's better than most people can say. Because maybe most people would compromise their vision to get more popular, to make things more convenient, or to play it safe. It's what so many of us do in our day-to-day lives. Like, I know you think that, but can you word it in a different way to not upset people? Can you make it a bit more accessible so that everyone can understand it? And it's these constant accommodations which take away from a person's intention. And I view that as taking away from the core of what that person truly is and what they as an individual can offer the world, their individual perspective. Because in a world that's trying its hardest to make everything convenient for everyone, for everything to be catered to everyone, then what you need to ask, in what space does it emerge that your very niche individualistic perspective can play out? In what space does it emerge that I could or should constantly be grinding away at my niche of esoteric cinema or hard questions about the way we as a species conduct ourselves? Who in the right mind would make things so difficult for themselves just because they think that this is the right thing to do? I'm clearly not going to make as much money as if I were to trash talk modern popular blockbusters, or if I were to explain the twist of the newest big hit TV series. It would be so much easier for me. Why, Lewis, don't you just transform what you do to make it more accessible for people? Give the people what they want. Stop screaming at celebrity consumer culture and just make everything easier for everyone. And for the longest time, this was on my mind. Why am I sacrificing my time and effort and energy on making a piece about Soviet montage theory, or killing myself to make hour-plus dissections of art every other week? I could be putting in less effort to make something far more contemporary, easily digestible, and by all the traditional barometers of success, I'd be better off. And so you constantly think like this, and then you're constantly seeing your contemporaries, who you know aren't as good, go through things the easy way. And this thought process that I should change and cater for others always emerges, because you start to tell yourself, nothing that I do matters because the people want shit. And so you paralyze yourself thinking about other people's decisions, or how much money you could be making, or what's cool and snappy, or what the new trends are and how you can jump on the bandwagon of them. And all of this shifting around in your own personality, it gets nothing done. And before you know it, you're just stood in the same spot you were, and you're saying to yourself, wait, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I think anymore. My nature is to go against the grain and to swim against the tide of what I'm expected to do. For what reason? It's probably so that I can be in complete control of what I do, so that I can take responsibility for all the decisions that I make, and ultimately that I can put out there who I am without there being any barriers in between it. That I'm never thinking about what kind of personality I'm putting out there, or the way I'm trying to appease other people. Because I also, like Ed Wood, don't want to compromise my beliefs or what I consider to be the right thing to do, the better thing to do. The thing is, it's hard, to be honest, because no one likes the truth. No one likes to hear the way things are. No one likes to expose the bullshit that's inside of them, the things that they don't like seeing other people do. And they don't like it because they recognize I've got a bit of that in me as well. And this bothered me to no end. I had these little things inside of me that were I was like, why are they there? Why do I feel this? Why do I feel like I need to appease to people? Why do I feel like I need to be nicer about certain things? What's the justification for it? And so I just had to say, fuck my ego at some point in my life, so that I was able to just be me. And now it's put me in a position in life where all of those things that I struggled with, when you're completely honest with yourself and say, why are you doing this? Why are you saying these things? You see that that's not really you. They're blocking the world from the real you. And I see too many people making shit now, whether it's on the internet or in celebrity culture, and doing shit that they only do because they're constantly thinking how it's going to look in the eyes of other people. And the moment you do that, the thing that's truly you stays inside and doesn't come out. Whatever you put out in the public, whether it was a piece of art or even just the way that you conducted yourself with another person, if your decisions are constantly based on someone else, then it's not even you that made that. It's this version of you that's not real. And I'd see this. And even if I just saw a glimmer of it that emerged in myself, I had to say, this has to go. I can't have this inside of me, because it's like carrying around an invisible boss telling you what to do just to compromise something. And whatever happens, I do what I want to do first. And I don't care who sees it. I don't care what anyone thinks about it. Like, I have a video called Nothing is Punk Anymore, and it got blocked for a lot of people after a while because it's like controversial and shit. But in the first week it was live and public, it got a bit of attention, to the point I was told that Doja Cat tweeted about the video. I'm not on social media, but even I understand, okay, that's a unique thing. And then I remember a couple weeks after that video, it was the Oscars and Doja Cat was performing. And me, in all my naivety, I thought this bitch was going to dropkick Lisa off the stage and scream, nothing is punk anymore in the mic like fucking James Woods in Videodrome. But she didn't. She did her bit for the industry and she acted exactly the way that she was supposed to do. No alarms, no surprises. And that was the thing that I was speaking about in that video, and it's kind of what I'm speaking about here. You can't just adopt a personality temporarily and then go away and do exactly the thing that everyone is expecting you to do. If you agree with any sentiment, if you have any philosophy of life, then you should be embodying that as much as you possibly can. And ultimately, if there's a point to whatever it is I'm talking about here, it's that. It's time to fucking do what you want and own it. I've spoken to so many people that want to create something that they've had in their mind for so long and they can't because they're just thinking of others. Forget it. Just do it. You won't please everybody. Some people are going to fucking hate it. Great. You know what? That might be a sign that something of value is occurring. Because when you are unapologetically yourself, what ends up happening is that you make stuff that, yeah, it might be controversial. There's things you say and do that not everyone agrees with. But who gives a shit? It's something new. It's something interesting. And yeah, some people may take it and use it to vicariously craft a personality around them the same way that we can buy our personalities now. But then you just have to keep going with that thing and keep trusting that life philosophy and own that thing that you embody and call this stuff out. And you just have to be yourself 24/7 and you can't let up. But it's very liberating to do that. You can't turn you off. And it's why in my life now, I've adopted this kind of aggressive honesty stance because that gets you through anything. And if we all just said what we all thought all the time, we'd be fine. There'd be none of this bullshit of, oh, I want to do this, but I can't because I feel like it might make this person look at me a certain way. They're just looking at you the way that you are, and then you need to deal with that. And if they're wrong in how they look at you, fuck it. It doesn't matter. Let me teach you something. The skill it takes to make something life-changing compared to marketing that thing to make it popular are two completely different skill sets. And it is, without exaggeration, to say that 9 times out of 10, the thing that's popular was made by someone or a collection of people that wanted nothing more than to sell something to you. The world wants you to conform to certain things and certain ways of being. And I think we've reached a point where whatever you're expected to do, it's probably the safer bet to do the exact opposite. At every chance you get to shift direction in life and not keep things stale, you should, because that's the joy of life. That's what it means to be alive. We've got one life. We're all going to die someday. So let's keep things fresh and enjoy it while we're here. I'll never accommodate the things that I create because that was the reason that this platform became something that hopefully made some difference to people. But even with this, I will make whatever it is I want, and so should you. And so my message, whatever I'm saying, is whatever's inside of you, be that and own that. You have a hobby for music, make it and put it out there. You love a film that no one else cares about, no one else is talking about, but you want to create something to celebrate it, do it. Remove any sense of, I'm doing this for a job, I'm doing this for money, I'm doing this for fame. Because the world is not going to change if we're adopting the same mindset of the people that ruined it. You're not a brand, you're not a product, you're a person with a lot of ideas. And the thing is, no one's going to care about your ideas. No one's going to offer you the time of day about what you think until you make those ideas. Then people will listen to you. It wasn't very long ago that the internet used to be a place for creativity, or at least a more interesting or genuine way to discuss things. Some of you might not remember this, but people used to make whatever they wanted, and it was enjoyable. But then it became hypermonetized. And you know why it became hypermonetized? It's not just because the powers that be made it so. It was because people also accepted it. The truth is, you can't give people an inch because they want it all. The moment that you accommodate for someone, they're going to expect continual accommodations for them because everyone's trying to instill their worldview onto you. They want their worldview to become the default because it makes them feel safe. And perhaps we shouldn't necessarily feel safe. Or if it is, perhaps that the only way that we can actually feel safe is if we are all just unapologetically ourselves, and we all say to each other what we think, and we all make each other kind of uncomfortable in a little way, and eventually we all deal with it, and we realize that it's not that big an issue. So the moment that you decide to do what it is that you want, and then people ask you why, the immediate response should be, because I knew that it was the right thing to do. And if you do take the steps to do this, understand that what comes with this is a kind of loneliness where you'll be swimming against the tide and it will feel like no one is swimming alongside you. The reason why I make these kind of things, whatever they are now, is because of that, is because it's so against the grain of the manner of what people would say. But in truth, it's not. Because yes, all of these controversial quote opinions come out, and yet you find that they're incredibly resonant with people, because the average human being has a lot in common with one another. We're all essentially in the same boat. We all essentially feel and understand the same things, but we bring in all of these fucking arbitrary barriers that we're supposed to conform to certain modes of thought or certain modes of conduct with one another. And all it's going to do is just divide us more than if we were all just direct and said what we felt to one another and made what we wanted and did what we wanted. So yes, it's going to feel as though you are swimming against the tide and no one is swimming alongside you. If anything, it'll feel as though they're going to tell you to stop swimming. Most people aren't swimming against the tide because they are the tide. They create the milieu of the very thing that you will swim against. And if I could give something to people, it'd be to say that you have to keep swimming against the tide, because whatever field you're in, that moment you appease someone else, whether it's your boss or an audience or someone that you have to alter what you think or feel to make them feel more comfortable, they won't remember that. You gave them a piece of your real estate because you thought that they were playing fair, but they don't play fair. And before you know it, you've given away so much of yourself. Now you're just stood in the corner of a room after giving away everything else to them, and they still want your corner. It's never enough. I firmly believe that there's an art to living life, and it's not in the daily grind to monetize everything that you possibly can. Earn money, become wealthy, by all means, but do it in a way that's cool or shows what you're good at, and then do whatever you want with it. That's the most important thing. I used to think, make space for your passion. If you're in a band, just after you finish work, make sure you get your job done right, and then just try and make some time for it. Now I realize that there are people that don't want you to have time for your thing. And the less time spent by creative people actively creating things, the gap between content and creation grows bigger and bigger with every passing day. But that doesn't matter to the average normie or businessman, fucking destroyer of culture that they are, because both result in profit anyway. If anything, there's less labor costs in making dog shit. We established the House of Tabula as a space for all manner of discourse, and it's only just begun in that regard. It was necessary for us to say, no, I could keep thinking about how people may or may not perceive us, or I could just do the things I know are good. That was how I got this platform to work in the first place. And it's time for all these ideas that we hold on to for bullshit reasons to come out. No matter how they do, it'll be worth it. This is the part where Howard Beale becomes a shaman and tells everyone to scream, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I mean, everyone tells me to get a smartphone and I say, go fuck yourself. I will stick with my Nokia 3310. But do you know what happens when you do what you want and ultimately what is right? The rest of the world looks at you like you're crazy. And so that's why you have to resist all the time. If you want to make a local business for your community, if you want to go and work on a farm, if you want to make noise music, if you want to do world building for whatever idea you have in your mind, you can do it and you can put it out there however you want, because only then will we actually be fighting against the world of hypermonetization, of Philistines and dickheads that don't know a thing about creating anything of real value. It's time we stop thinking about how bad and restrictive things are and just be free. And you will make enemies just by doing that. And there will always be people that are wanting you to conform, but they're just the scared fish in the tide. We're not rebelling for rebellion's sake. We're rebelling to legitimately offer something of true value to the world. And so be good at what you do. And no one can say anything about that. Know your truest value and tell yourself, the decision I'm making are good for the benefit of humanity. And that decision came from me, not you, not anybody else that doesn't want me to make this decision. And then every day, you just have to keep swimming against that tide. And it'll never stop. And the doubt will come back. And you'll question what you do. And you'll feel alone. And you'll feel like nothing that you do is going to make any difference at all. But if you do keep going, the tide will recede. And it'll stop for a while. And then you can bask in the happiness that the decision you made inched you towards the person that you truly want to be. And that is ultimately the person that you are. You just have to keep swimming.